Rise and shine, wizards. It's Deb from Mtg. We like it of magic, and it is Christmas morning, everybody. Welcome to it, otherwise known as Ban Day. We've been waiting for it for a couple of weeks. We knew they were going to ban stuff before they even announced they were going to ban stuff, because they announced they were going to fix standards. So we're like, well, we got to do bans. And then they finally announced they were going to do the bans, and then there was a big leak, and then it was announced the leak was fake, and so much drama, and so much fun, and so much anticipation for this day. So I'm going to stop rehashing old stuff that you were there for. Let's get to the news. That's why you clicked on the video. What did they ban today? Let's read through it, baby. This is the May 29th, 2023 Banned and Restricted announcement by Andrew Brown. Standard. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is banned. Invoke Despair is banned. Reckoner Bankbuster is banned. Tabletop and Magic Online effective date, May 29th. That is today. MTG Arena, May the 30th, Tuesday, tomorrow. So hot dog. That means we got a lot to talk about, and we will, I'm sure, by the end of this video. There's a lot to discuss, but before we really get into it, I just want to read through the announcement in full, because it's not actually too long. In case you haven't read it yet, maybe that'll help you. You know, you're in the car, maybe you're cooking, something like that. You just want some dulcet tones to sit back to and absorb this announcement from. Yeah, I'll be that guy for you. So let's run through this, because I do think some of the verbiage is interesting, and we'll point it out when necessary. But let's start. Banned and Restricted Philosophy Update with changes to Standard. It's really big and bold, so I assume that's how you're supposed to read it. Recently, we released an article talking about Tabletop Standard and our renewed focus to improve it at every level. Today represents our second step toward delivering on that goal. When talking to players about bans in Standard, most of the community feedback we've received, whether coming from players competing at the top tables of the Pro Tour or those enjoying a more relaxed Wednesday night Standard at their local game store, has focused on how disruptive our current banning cadence can be. Bans are a pain point for Standard engagement. They are too unpredictable, too inconsistent, and hurt players' ability to have confidence in building and playing their decks. Moving forward, we're going to change the cadence with which we manage our formats, particularly Standard. Our goal is to make the most of our format changes once a year for greater consistency. This announcement will happen annually before fall previews begin. This will not only include Standard, but also Modern, Pioneer, Legacy, and Vintage. Now, I'm going to save you a little bit of time here. They just rehashed what they've already told us in a different announcement that we've already clicked on and read forever ago now. I don't know why they're doing this, because we know these things. They start the article with well-known information instead of the thing the article is about. No, they're just going to, again, rehash their whole policy of, banning things once per year right before the fall set comes out, but also having a 3-week ban window after every set comes out. So we already know these things. We already actually know these things. They even, once again, use Felidar Guardian as an example. So anyway, here we go. That said, we are banning 3 cards from Standard today to help make this transition. We felt it was important to begin this new era of Standard with a clean slate, so to speak, without the specter of recent ban talk hanging over the format. To do so, we decided to make the following changes. The 3 changes we already told you about at the top of the article. What wonderful formatting this article has. Now, before I go any further, I want to point out the verbiage here, because this is the weirdest sentence in any article from Wizards of the Coast that I have ever read in my life. Am I crazy, or does this sentence not make any sense at all? We felt it was important to begin this new era of Standard with a clean slate, without the specter of recent ban talk hanging over the format. To do so, we're going to ban stuff. Am I reading this wrong? Is that a weird read here to say? Because I feel like I'm being gaslit. I really do. Did they really just say, we felt it was important to not make bans? Clean slate without the specter of recent ban talk. So here's a ban. We've been watching the rise and dominance of the core 3-color shell based in black-red over the past several releases and premier-level tournaments. We believe that these changes will help reduce the win rate of the dominant strategy in the format and create an exciting shake-up and entry point to the format preceding the summer and release of Wilds of Eldraine. Fable of the Mirror Breaker has been the backbone of strategies based in Black-Red, and one of the strongest cards in the format for the entirety of its tenure in Standard. Its ability to generate resources, card flow, and be a must-kill threat is unmatched at its level of efficiency. Counterplay available to it is low, and frequently costs much more than 3 mana, and it is especially difficult to beat on the draw. By removing Fable, we hope to reduce the power of Black-Red decks, but also make deck-building choices for these strategies more meaningful as to whether they will want a threat, card selection, or the ability to enable reanimation instead of all of those things in the same card for 3 mana. For these reasons, as well as the high rate of play of the card across many decks, Fable of the Mirror Breaker is banned. Reckoner Bankbuster. Can I do this one in like a really radio-y used car salesman commercial voice? Reckoner Bankbuster has been the go-to card advantage engine for many decks in Standard since its release. As a colorless card, it has been effortless to slot into a wide variety of colors and strategies. Its general ubiquity and strength have pushed out other card advantage options too much as a colorless card. It has also put stress on creature sizing, as creatures that can crew Reckoner Bankbuster have been more favored than others. To promote more diversity and give power back to other types of cards in different colors, Reckoner Bankbuster is banned. Maybe I'll read this last one in a normal voice. Maybe we'll just do that. Invoke Despair has been the premier curve topper in most Black-Red decks and Black-based strategies for most of its lifetime. Not only is it powerful for managing the battlefield and generating card advantage, but it has also been excellent for shoring up some of Black's weaknesses. Traditionally, playing a wide variety of permanent types is strong against decks with a lot of one-for-one removal. Invoke Despair makes it especially difficult to find ample counterplay to Black strategies, as it is an effective card to cast on empty boards and preys upon the enchantments and planeswalkers that are historically effective against these types of removal-heavy strategies. Due to its power level and negative impact on card diversity, Invoke Despair is banned. Now, they also say, one more thing, one simple single sentence to finish it off. We will have our first yearly banned and restricted announcement on August 7th, 2023, ahead of Wilds of Eldraine previews. We will be taking no further questions at this time, it might as well say. Now, like I said, there's quite kind of a lot to talk about, although all I can think about is that sentence. We thought it was important to not do the bans. So anyway, ban 3 cards. That leads to a bunch of questions. First of all, though, before we get into that, let's bring down that white screen. I want to help save your eyeballs a little bit. Matter of fact, I'll do you one better. Let me get to downloads. Sure, this is a fun image. Boom, that's a fun one. We'll just do that. It's nice and dark too, so I'm not gonna destroy your retinas, but. Anyway, lot to talk about here, even though they only banned a few cards, which in yesterday's video I theorized that they might do. I didn't think they'd go all the way in and ban like 8 or 10 cards. My reasoning for that is that they are pretty conservative when it comes to banning 1 million cards at one time. It's not something they usually do. I didn't really sniff it out this time, especially after it was determined the leak was, you could either say fake or too good to be true, depending on your perspective. But I'm going to say too good to be true, which we all should have sniffed again, because that's just too many cards. It's too many cards for Wizards to ban at one time. And they even, say that part of their reasoning for banning so few cards in a way is consumer confidence. They head up the article with that. We don't like to ban stuff. We especially don't like to ban a bunch of cards, because consumer confidence. And I did always feel like the argument that if your whole idea with a 3-year rotation for Standard, rather than a 2-year, is to, again, increase consumer confidence, get the number of people playing this format up, mostly because they can play their cards for longer and their cards retain value longer, then in a way, it does not make sense to ban a bunch of cards. It really doesn't, I did like the argument that we use it as a mini rotation. And in a way, Wizards even sort of makes that argument in a very sideways manner. We want to keep things fresh and all that. But this is not a mini rotation. far from it. But this will still liven up the format a good bit. Now, this is not going to be a video about, because I plan on doing this video in a different format. I'm going to be standing up with the mic doing jokes. But I plan on doing a video about, what decks get better in this environment. I've already done a video, like 35-minute video about like all the cards that get better when Fable gets banned, and it did get banned. I had still had people telling me it wasn't going to get banned. How could you possibly believe that? If there was one card with its head on the chopping block for the last 2 weeks just waiting for the axe, it's been Fable of the Mirror Breaker. We were all right. I can't take credit for that. Like, every content creator said Fable's gone, and we were collectively correct. The entire internet was right on that one. But anyway, back to my point. I am not surprised that they didn't ban 1 million cards, but long story short, I've already made a long story out of it. I am happy. I would be happy if they banned 1 card today. Like, as long as it's Fable of the Mirror Breaker, I'd be happy. But am I happy about Invoke getting banned? Yeah, I've already said a couple times I didn't think it was going to happen, but I'd be really happy if it did. And it's gone, man. And maybe it was the right thing to do. They didn't ban Mono Black out of existence. You know, they didn't ban Shouldered, which I didn't think was going to happen. Again, if consumer confidence is something you care about, don't ban the most expensive card in the format that wasn't even going to rotate anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm not at all surprised Shelly wasn't getting banned. And there's other reasons. Honestly, there's counterplay reasons. There's balancing reasons not to ban her. Because there's a real thought that, like, Soldiers becomes the best deck in the format. Aggro becomes much, much better now without Fable dictating that every deck in the format has to be a mid-range deck. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Fable was good against aggro, but the fact that Fable made every deck in the format mid-range, and mid-range tends to be very good against aggro, means that if the format is heavily dominated by mid-range, aggro has a hard time getting a foothold sometimes. We saw that in the top 8. At the last Pro Tour, there was 1 Soldiers deck in the top 8, and Soldiers had a pretty bad day overall. So even the best aggro deck in the format was not great. But now, since every deck doesn't have to be mid-range, maybe aggro gets more of a foothold. If that's the case, Shouldered is here to help keep aggro in check. I kind of like that. I think it's going to be fun just to see what happens. One thing I do want to say, now that we're kind of out of my personal feelings on the individual cards, is back to the verbiage of the announcement. I think it's really interesting that they bookended the announcement by reiterating, reminding us that there's going to be another ban announcement before Wilds of Eldraine comes out. I wish that this language would have been more definitive. It's a little bit nebulous. I do think especially the fact that it's kind of an air of finality to that last sentence in the article. There's going to be another ban announcement on August the 7th. And even though they don't go into the ins and outs of that, they don't go so far as to say, spell it out for us, that we're going to be watching Standard until then, and if there's still a problem cards in Standard, then we will ban them out of the format. Maybe we'll use that opportunity as a mini rotation, right? They didn't come out and say anything like that. They didn't even say we're going to be keeping an eye on it. They didn't even say that, which I think is really interesting. And I think that it sucks. No matter which, direction you want to hear it from. If you're a guy like me that really likes, for the most part, I like bans. Format gets really stale really fast. I play a lot of Magic. I know not everybody does, but format gets very stale to me very quickly a lot of the time. So I don't mind bans. I think bans are fine for the most part. So I don't mind them. So I would have liked, again, a little bit more, just a definitive, like, we may ban more cards on such and such date. But from the other direction, it sucks too, right? Because these cards just got banned, all right? And maybe you want to play Standard. And now you know what's banned, you know what not to buy, what not to build decks with, and all that stuff. And you're interested in getting into Standard. Well, now you have this shadow on August the 7th of this other ban announcement looming over you. So again, just for people like me, who enjoy a good ban. You put this anxiety-inducing date, August the 7th, in the back of my mind, and I'm thinking, well, are you going to do more stuff? Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? What's going to happen? Are you going to take action? Are you not? And, again, we're waiting for the big day to get here when we just waited a week and a half, 2 weeks for this ban announcement. Now, 10 weeks in the future, there's another ban announcement. We got to wait for that one. And it's very anxiety-inducing. Even as someone that likes bans. And I assume it's anxiety inducing as someone that really doesn't like bans, and you're looking at getting into Standard, but you need confidence in the format. So you might be thinking to yourself right now, well, I would like to invest in Soldiers, but should I buy Thalias and Brutal Cathars and, the 50 other rares that go in that deck, What if they ban Thalia out of the format? Should I invest in mono white right now and buy like all these expensive mythics, these planeswalkers, wandering emperors, and wedding announcements, and just all this stuff? You know, fateful absences, and just I'm trying to picture all the rares in the deck. You know, Sarah Paragons and stuff. Like, do I buy all these cards and then they ban Wandering Emperor out of the format? You know, like this. Again, the fact that there wasn't a little bit more nuance, a little bit more description to that very last sentence in the article, I think is counterproductive to their messaging of wanting to, you know, increase consumer confidence and give Standard a shot in the arm over the summer and maybe increase more, because again, their stated goal is to get people playing paper Standard, right? So giving Standard a shot in the arm over the summer, getting people into their local game stores and actually firing some events and stuff like that, I'm not sure that's going to happen if you've just given everyone this other date to look forward to and kind of stress out over, you know, and not buy cards because there's going to be another ban announcement. I just think it would have been nice if they don't plan on banning anything necessarily, because they've released all the sets they're going to release, right, until that ban announcement, for Standard at least. I think it would have been nice if they don't plan on banning anything to be like, hey, we don't plan on banning anything, you know. But I guess they're between a rock and a hard place on that. A little sympathy for the devil on that one, because like they can say we don't plan on banning anything, and then suddenly Rafine is the best card in the format, and there's something needs to be done about her because she's 80% of the decks in the format, you know. Just massive meta share, and everyone's crying that we gotta do something about Rafine, you know, but they said that we're not going to ban anything, so what can they do? I could definitely see how it's hard for them not to be a little bit more definitive with their word choice, but again, it's still a little bit stressful knowing that there's going to be another ban announcement. Anything can be on the chopping block from here to there. So anyway, there's a lot to talk about, obviously, but I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I really just wanted to give you the news. You know what I mean? The juicy news, because I got a couple of more videos that I want to make sort of about this and around this. We have to stream. Apparently it's going to be, the update's going to go live tomorrow on Arena. So I'm going to try and stream tomorrow night. Twitch.tv/SVMTGDev. Link in the description in case you're interested. But yeah, again, just to summarize here. We banned Fable because it produces too much value. We banned Reckoner Bankbuster because it's everywhere. And we banned Invoke Despair because it was a mistake. It does too much you know, it does stuff that Black isn't supposed to be able to do so easily, like blow up enchantments and draw a bunch of cards. Deal your opponent damage and draw you cards. Black cards are supposed to deal you damage if they're going to draw you cards, right? Not the other way around. But anyway, too much value, too ubiquitous, and more or less a design mistake is the bottom line on those three there. But that's more or less all I got. I'm really interested in what you have to say on this one. Mostly keep it to today. You know, I'm interested in knowing, you know, what you wanted banned and all that, but we've really adjudicated all of this at this point. It has been litigated and eliminated and marinated and all those words at this point in time. We've had plenty of videos to talk about that. Let's talk about the now, the reality, where we are in the timeline. How do you feel about this announcement, y'all? But aside from all that, I'm more or less like donezo for this brunzo. I'm going to save the rest for more content a little down the road. We'll have fun, and I'll be standing up at the mic telling jokes, the format that you like and all that. I just really wanted to get this one out. That's why we're at the computer. Just hanging out down the street. Same old thing we did last week. Now, if you're wondering why I'm going this way, I'm not going to like dart out of the frame and never return, and this video just goes on forever until the police find me. That's not what's going to happen. I'm going to lean over, grab the couch card of the day, because you know I'm not going to forget about that. I know how much you love it. Let's take a look. What's it going to be? Actually, let's not take a look. I'm supposed to specifically not look at it. What's this magic card? What is this magic card? Shortcut Seeker? What the hell is this? Oh, it's a venture into the dungeon thing? Oh, who cares? I don't even get to see it. It was foiled, too. It was shiny. That's probably why it was over here in the first place. What's this card? Bad luck today, but it is interesting that this is the card on screen currently. We got a mountain. Basic land is another pull, right? 3 pulls in one day? Come on, Dev. This is how I buy packs, too. I'm like, oh, that's not a good pack. Let's pull another one. That's not a good pack. Let's buy another one. That's not a good pack. Let's buy another one. This is a good card. Okay. We got a flood. We got a flood. It had a home in my old school, cube for a long time. And when we busted up all the cubes to make the main cube, we took it out. Didn't quite make the cut, but Flood is a decent card. It's just a single blue mana for an enchantment. If you pay 2 blue mana, target non-flying creature becomes tapped. This is one of the very few enchantments for a very long time that had like an activated, like a mana cost. You know what I mean? Most enchantments don't really have like a mana cost to activate them, but this one does. But this goes very well in old school cubes. It's not a blue sweeper or anything, but it really gets blue out of a lot of jams to be able to like tap down creatures at will at instant speed. So pretty sweet little card Flood is. I've always liked it. And the art is kind of sick too. Very simple, but I really like the darks aesthetic. And this is a card from the dark. Contact, please, right? But I really like the darks aesthetic, and this is just, it's cool. It's a cool card. But anyway, that's all we got for today. Just, do all the YouTube stuff. Check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. I know a lot of you guys have been watching lately. I really appreciate that. If you want to, help me keep making YouTube content in the first place, then you can check me out on Patreon, just $1 a month to vote on content. And it supports me a lot. It helps so much. But aside from that, check me out on Twitch, link in the description. We're going to be playing this new set as soon as possible. Like the video on your way out and subscribe. We're trying to get to 400,000 subscribers. We only need 373,000 subscribers. So help us get there inch by inch, mile by mile, drop by drop. We will get there. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm going to stop messing around and taking up too much of your time here. You got a lot to do today. You're a responsible adult. Unless you're not. I'm on your side either way. I love you. You can do it. Whatever it is you're trying to do, I got your back. You can do it. You got this, man. Or lady. You can do whatever you want. You can do anything. And you don't even have to put your mind to it. You just do it. Anyway, I love you. No matter who you are. And I'm Dev from The Blaze. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.